The temple had been rebuilt, the exiles had returned, worship had resumed in Jerusalem, but the restoration was not complete. The city's walls remained broken, its gates remained burned, its defenses remained shattered. Jerusalem was vulnerable, its people were exposed, and the city that once stood at the center of God's covenant nation still carried the scars of destruction. Yet God was preparing a leader, a man whose burden would become a mission, a man whose prayers would become action. This is the story of Nehemiah, a story of rebuilding, a story of perseverance, a story of restoration. The story begins far from Jerusalem. Nehemiah served in the court of King Artaxerxes of Persia. He held the position of cupbearer to the king. It was a role of immense trust and responsibility. Nehemiah lived in safety. He served in one of the most powerful empires in the world, yet his heart remained connected to the city of his ancestors. One day, visitors arrived from Judah. Nehemiah eagerly asked about Jerusalem and the people who had returned from exile. The answer brought devastating news. The walls remained broken. The gates remained destroyed. The city still lay vulnerable. When Nehemiah heard these words, he was overcome with grief. He sat down and wept. For days he mourned. He fasted. And he prayed before God. His prayer was filled with humility. He confessed the sins of Israel. He remembered God's promises. He acknowledged God's faithfulness. And he asked for favor in what he sensed God was calling him to do. Nehemiah understood that restoration would require more than concern. It would require action. Months passed. Then one day, while serving King Artaxerxes, Nehemiah appeared visibly troubled. The king noticed immediately. He asked why Nehemiah looked so sad. Nehemiah was afraid, yet he answered honestly. How could he be joyful when the city of his ancestors lay in ruins? How could he celebrate while Jerusalem remained broken? The king listened carefully. Then he asked, "What is it you want?" Nehemiah prayed silently. Then he made his request. He asked permission to return to Jerusalem. He asked authority to rebuild the city. He asked for the resources needed to complete the task. God granted favor. The king approved his request. Letters were issued. Resources were provided. Protection was granted. And Nehemiah set out toward Jerusalem. The mission had begun. After arriving in Jerusalem, Nehemiah spent several days observing. Then, during the night, he quietly examined the city's condition. What he found confirmed everything he had heard. The walls were broken. The gates remained destroyed. The city still bore the scars of Babylon's invasion. Yet Nehemiah did not allow the ruins to discourage him. Instead, he saw an opportunity. He saw what Jerusalem could become. Soon, he gathered the leaders and the people. He explained how God had guided him. He shared the favor he had received from the king. And he called the people to rebuild. The response was immediate. The people committed themselves to the work. The restoration of Jerusalem had begun. The rebuilding became a community effort. Families worked together. Priests participated. Leaders took responsibility. Citizens repaired the sections nearest their homes. Every person contributed where they could. The work advanced steadily. Day after day, section after section, stone by stone, Jerusalem slowly began to rise again. But whenever God moves his people forward, opposition often follows, and opposition soon arrived. Among Nehemiah's greatest opponents were men named Sanballat and Tobiah. From the beginning, they mocked the project. They ridiculed the builders. They questioned whether success was even possible. When mockery failed, threats followed. Plans were made to stop the work. Fear spread among the people. Danger became real. Yet Nehemiah refused to abandon the mission. He prayed, he organized the people, and he continued building. The workers remained prepared. They stayed alert. They persevered despite constant pressure. And throughout it all, Nehemiah encouraged them to trust God. The opposition never completely disappeared, but neither did the determination of the people. Not all of Jerusalem's challenges came from outside enemies. Some came from within the community itself. Economic hardship created tension. The poor suffered under heavy burdens. Some families faced debt. Others struggled to survive. Nehemiah was deeply troubled. The people rebuilding God's city should not have been exploiting one another. He confronted the leaders directly. He called for justice. He challenged selfishness. And he urged the people to honor God in how they treated one another. His leadership strengthened not only the city, but the community itself. Because true restoration requires more than rebuilt structures. It requires restored relationships. Despite every obstacle, the work continued. Despite fear, despite threats, despite discouragement, the people refused to quit. Then the remarkable happened. The wall was completed. What seemed impossible became reality. Jerusalem stood protected once again. The surrounding nations were astonished. Even Israel's enemies recognized that God had helped accomplish the work. The city had been restored. But Nehemiah understood that another challenge remained: the spiritual restoration of the people. The people gathered together, men and women, young and old, families from throughout the community. At the center stood Ezra, the priest and scribe who had devoted himself to God's word. Ezra opened the book of the law and began to read. Hour after hour, the people listened attentively. Levites helped explain the meaning. They ensured the people understood what God had spoken. As they listened, many began to weep. They realized how far previous generations had drifted. They understood the seriousness of their failures. But Ezra and Nehemiah encouraged them. This was not merely a day of conviction. It was also a day of celebration. Because God's word was once again being heard and understood, the people rejoiced. And spiritual renewal began to spread throughout the nation. The people confessed their sins. They remembered God's faithfulness throughout their history. They acknowledged His mercy, and they renewed their commitment to follow Him. They pledged themselves to obedience, to worship, to honoring God's covenant, and to supporting the work of the temple. The restoration of Jerusalem was becoming something greater than rebuilding a city. At the center stood Ezra, the priest and scribe who had devoted himself to God's word. The walls mattered, but the hearts of the people mattered even more. Even after great progress, challenges remained. Compromise threatened the community. Old habits returned. And Nehemiah once again took action. He addressed abuses, protected worship, encouraged obedience, and worked to preserve the spiritual health of the nation. His leadership remained consistent. Prayer and action, faith and perseverance, conviction and courage. Nehemiah understood that restoration is not accomplished in a single moment. It requires continual faithfulness. The Book of Nehemiah is a story of rebuilding what was broken. It is a story of leadership rooted in prayer, of perseverance in the face of opposition, of faith that refuses to surrender. The walls of Jerusalem were rebuilt. The people were renewed. God's word returned to the center of national life. And hope rose once again in a city that had known devastation. Because Nehemiah reminds us that no ruin is beyond God's ability to restore, and no obstacle is too great when his people remain faithful. And this is where the story takes its next step, one story at a time.